Hello everybody, and welcome to round 5 of the Sim Racing Online 2025 World Series, the series of 4 different races on different mods, crowning a champion at the end of the year. We are coming to you worldwide, broadcast around the world in 1440p. Today, we are treated to the amazing MONZA track. Here's a little bit of info on where we're at today. As you can see, this is the 91 version of the track, so we won't have that crazy first turn antics. We have instead a little bit of an S turn there. So with that said, I want to get in touch and make sure that we congratulate our sponsor for helping us here, and I want to hand it over to our sponsors. That is Liberty Footwear, custom footwear built for you, custom fitted. You can send them your dimensions, everything you need. If you can't see them in person, they will build you your own set of shoes, work boots, anything stylish, comfort, performance, safety, for hiking, everyday wear, work, anything that you need custom fit. Make sure to tell him that Randy Americ sent you. He is one of our liaisons, and he is actually in this race. So kudos to Liberty Footwear for picking up the tab for us here today, and don't forget to visit their site and give them a holler. With that said, I want to introduce Woody, our color man and our F1 expert, and he is here today to help us along. So what do you have to say for us today about this track, Woody?
Good evening, everybody. Monza. If you don't know Monza, I don't know where you've been. Monza is very, very famous. It's a circuit that has been around since 1922, I believe. It's been around a bit, and it's been on the F1 calendar ever since 1950 up to 1979. It had a little bit of break in 1980 where refurbishment was taking place and it was held at Imola instead. But then from 1981, it's been the Italian Grand Prix up until the present day. We won't be telling any spoilers about today's Grand Prix. It's just coincidence that we're running out at the same time that the real race is taking place. But we're in slightly different cars today. Slightly different cars. We are in the 1984 season. And a quick description of the tyres of these things. The tyres that the drivers do have available are softs, mediums, hards, and wet tyres. We won't be using wet tyres today. The weather forecast doesn't look like we have rain, but Michelin's, Goodyear's, and Pirelli's they had back then. But tyre strategy is going to be a thing. We've seen a lot of people gambling on the softs and doing 2 stops. Others gambling on just hard tyres and trying to do a 1-stop or no stop at all. That is entirely possible. As far as engines goes, these cars have a mixture of naturally aspirated and turbo engines. It was the turnover point between when turbo cars were becoming a bit mainstream, and the drivers that we have today do have the option to turn up the wick a little bit. They do have a qualifying mode which does decrease the efficiency of fuel consumption, but it is probably about 10 to 15 kilometers an hour faster race. They can turn the engine down, better fuel consumption, but slightly slower. So we've seen a few drivers that have turned it up a little bit on the straights and then turned it back down, maybe in the slower parts of the circuit. There is no refueling in these cars, so we've just got to fill her up and hope that they get the fuel strategy right. So, Rob, can you take us through the schedule, where we've been and where we are going?
Yes, indeed. So this is indeed round 5, and you will see here by the display that next up will be round 6, the German GP, coming in 2 weeks at that point in time. Things are winding down here, and we do have some totals for you here. Let me get to the season standings. As we see here, Lars Hagman and Kostas Kantasaurus, followed with Philip Pichler, are atop the top 3 leaderboards, just separated by a few points. You can see 119 for Lars, 117 for Kostas, and 115 for Philip Pichler. So these guys are well in the hunt, with Vandergeest just a few strokes behind there with 111. Then we have the other Hagman brother, Bjorn, at 107, and Ed Jones, the tire whisperer, as so wisely named as he gets his way around, at 92 points. And then we have a big gap to Ben Sumner's in 7th with 61, followed by Jacob Smythe, some 10 points behind. But just 1 point behind him is Ollie Bateson. And then we have Matej Descobaler. And that is your top 10. So it is really in anybody's hands right now with I think it's a 42-point win. Isn't that what the wins is, Woody?
So the winner can get up to 40 points for a win. There is no bonus points for fastest lap or pole position, so 40 points for a win. The second place car will get 36, and third place car will get 33. And points are numbered all the way down to 23rd. So just staying in it is more than these drivers have to do. It's as we saw from 2 weeks ago, attrition is it can be quite major in these cars. They are quite difficult with the gear changes. It can be quite fragile. So as we saw last week or 2 weeks ago, there was a start line accident which took out, unfortunately, Lars Hagman, the championship leader. So that's why the championship is now in the balance for the last 2 rounds. And unfortunately, it did take out De Silva and Smythe as well.
That was that.
We only had six finishers last week.
That was that terrible start. What? Give us a replay on that. I mean, or a review, right?
Yeah, I believe that with Lars Hagman, to say the gearbox can be quite. If you don't give it enough revs and you don't get it exactly right, the thing will stall, and everyone behind just doesn't have enough time to react. So unfortunately, our championship leader stalled it on the line, and 2 drivers could not avoid that car and took 2 people out of the race straight away. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we won't have it this time.
Yes. Let's keep our fingers crossed. We are at Monza. Now, I did a couple of laps at this track just to check it out, and I wanted to take a note about these curbs. And Woody, as you pointed out to me before, this was the 90s, and the curbs are basically outlining the track. They weren't really made to drive over. And that is the case here. These curbs are very severe, with the exception of a few on the beginning of Sector 3 there. They're a little bit laid out. But as you see these guys go around, you're going to watch them pretty much staying away from most of these curbs, as it's very violent interaction if you hit those. Their setups might be adjusted accordingly in case they do hit some curbs. As you can see here, we're following Bruno Pagiola. He's coming through some of these sections that has a little bit of a flatter turn, but we will notice during the race that it's going to be something to avoid as he hits through Parabolica here. Let's follow a lap here with Bruno if he stays out. He is atop the leaderboard right now, and he's starting the cross finish. So this is where you'll see the timing line, where the track is completely different here. Excuse me. Don't just take us through some of these turn names, Woody, as we head through the first chicane there.
So it's the first chicane, the variante something.
Right.
And up to the Curva Grand, which is a long right-hander, and into the Variante del Roggia chicane. Now we're probably going to see a lot of accidents. It's one of the slowest parts of the circuit, and up to one of the parts of the circuit where you've got to keep it pinned through the first Lesmo turn, and then up to the second Lesmo. London runs a little bit wide, avoiding that large curb, as you said, on the inside of the second Lesmo. Then flat out all the way down the back straight, Curva del Serraglia, and up to probably one of the most famous turns, the Variante Ascari, so the quick left, right, and left, and onto the back straight. And then we head to the final turn, which is the Curva Parabolica, and you've got to be very, very careful on the brakes, not to hit that curve on the inside, and not running too wide, because there's not a lot of runoff back in the 90s, and up to the line to start another lap.
Very good. Nicely done. You see, very scenic, nice mod. This is a beautiful track designed. Who's the modder of this track, do you know? What do you...
Off the top of my head, the name escapes me, but there is a person that I know of is making all of the 90s F1 tracks, and they kindly provided them to us and to the public they are freely available, so you can find. I'll probably get to the name a bit later on because I can't remember off the top of my head, but they've made quite a few tracks for us.
All right, sorry to put you on the spot there, I thought. Yes, we will find that information out for you because these are really beautiful tracks. If you're into this historic racing, and RF2 really has a wonderful selection to choose from. So with that said, we are winding down here. I think we got about 3 minutes left of the free practice, and we will get into the 15-minute qualification session. And as a few more drivers hopefully can make their way in, we are missing a few, but we do have at least 12 on the grid so far. And some of them will just show up at quali, so we'll see how that goes. Let's have a look down the field here. Let's Ben Summers. This is one of your teammates, Woody, at Dr. Pepper Fuel Motorsports. Like he's got a custom livery there. And then here is Ed Jones is in the pits. Randy Merrick also in the pits right now. We always want to get a look at his paint jobs. There is Michael LaBelle, Racket Kings Racing. Then in the Ferrari, John Vandergeest. He's also parked at the minute. Excuse me. Bill Brown, independent, as he sent the yard sale into the wall and completely destroys his car, which in sim racing is, you know, it hurts your feelings more than it hurts your body. So then Freddie Hell, Randy Merrick, he's still in. These guys here are the Bjorn brothers, or Bjorn, the Hickman brothers, perhaps. Lars and Bjorn, really good drivers, these two guys. They're always competitive. They're always up into the top. And they are together here on track, as you can see, sporting those Renaults and the yellow liveries. As Bjorn also decides to smack it into the wall the last couple of minutes of practice here. And Matej Gascobelaire, he's out. Costas Cantadores, who has set the fastest lap in practice, a 120.3. Excuse me. Followed very closely by Lars with a 120.8. So with that said, I believe we are on our way to the qualification session. We've only got a couple guys left out on track.
Yeah, Cantadores is actually only a driver in these first 4 rounds that has won 2 consecutive Grand Prix at this point. So his last 2, he's been able to stay out of the melee at the start and being able to pretty decisive wins, I would say. We had quite a lot of battle with strategy last week, so we'll see what they choose or what tires they choose for this one, because it's going to be very, very quick.
As you can see, those just a few points behind the leader there, so those 2 wins have definitely given him a great chance at this championship with 2 races remaining, counting today. So the qualification session has started, and we will get the timer up there so you guys can see what happens here and what tire they're on.
Yeah, I'm very busy in pit lane. Everybody wants to get out first.
Yeah.
It seems.
And it looks like Costas did get the jump on everybody.
So I don't know whether we will see teammates possibly working together, because Monza is it's a circuit where you could do with a little bit of help with draft, but again, you probably don't want to be very close to another car through the faster sections, because aero wash is a thing. But these cars are very, very close together for this top 5 I can see on the track map as they head down the back straight.
Yeah, we saw that a little bit last week at that twisty turnies, where the little bit of aero wash could destroy you if you were too closely following the car ahead of you.
Yeah, this circuit is a lot different to Dijon 2 weeks ago, where lots of blind apexes, which caught a lot of drivers out, and very, very bumpy. Monza is just very, very quick with hard stopping points and long back straights and front straights. So Costas is crossing line to start his lap.
Yeah, we are on board with him now. Of course, just behind him is Lars, Hegman, and Bruno Pagnola, I believe, are right on his tail. The three fastest in practice are right on each other. Actually, it's the 5th place car that's back there, Nick Westy, who is in 3rd position. As we will see the sector times coming up here. We're at 30.5 for sector 1 for the first lap. And remember, the tires probably are not quite all the way up to temp yet.
So back straight, 344 kilometers an hour was Costas' top speed.
I would assume these guys are on the Monza typical low downforce setup.
Yeah, it's going to be a balance. You really want at least downforce as possible to stay with the cars in front, because if you lose the draft, you're going to be a bit further behind and you're going to struggle to catch up, I think.
All right, here we go. First time of the day is a 120.8. And then Hagman right behind him with a 120. Looks like, did he jump above Costas? Interesting, because I'm showing Lars with a 120 flat, but it's not putting him. He must have had a, did he go off somewhere?
It's just be a little bit of an error in the timing there. Maybe that means...
Could be, could be.
Yeah, it's to 3 decimal places, so... But very close at the top 2 at the moment.
Yes.
With Nick Wesley not far behind in 3rd.
Yeah, Wesley did start out 5th as fastest in practice, but did get that 3rd spot with a 121.7. Let's see who else is about to cross the line here. Was Bruno Pagnola was very fast in practice. Let's see what he can do. He puts himself in 4th. Yeah, yes. And it looks like that.
For those that haven't joined us, sorry, Rob. Quick note that people that haven't joined us is that the rules with Sim Racing Online is that if you foul up your qualifying lap and you cannot get back to the pits, your qualification is over. So you do need to do an out lap, a fast lap, and an in lap.
And I see the timing has corrected itself now with putting Lars Hagman up there with that 120.5. Costas now in 2nd with the 128. Matej Descobelaire bumps Westy out of 3rd with a 121.6. Just a 10th behind is Westy. And then Philip Pitchler, who's up there in the points, we'll keep an eye on him now. A little bit off with a 122.6, but he is on a ripper now.
It's quite surprising that Bjorn Hagman is all the way down in 9th at the moment. He's coming out for another lap on another set of tyres, but he's down in 9th, which is very unusual because he was topping the timesheets in practice. So we'll have to see if he can get up to the top 5.
Yeah, he probably must have had an incident that would tell me on his first lap. Made it back to the pits. And I can see is that Vandergeest in the Ferrari. A little bit of traffic here as they're both coming into the pit. So let's jump on board with Bjorn and see where he is at. He's on an out lap. Currently in 9th. So he is halfway around the tracks yet to go. So let's see as number 2 is Costas is going to try and jump himself back up there. He's starting another fresh lap. So just 3/10 separates the top two, with about a second separating the third from the leader. It looks like people are coming into the pits, so probably get another fresh set of softs. Let's jump on board now with Bjorn Hegman as he starts his first time lap and probably get him up where he needs to be. Rips through the gears. You can see how high those curbs are there. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead, so hopefully he can navigate this without slowing him down too much. It looks like Ben Summers perhaps in front of him. They can't tell, but he is definitely causing him a little bit of grief as he's looking for a way around through the Lesmos. Does get away, but that might be slowed him down for this lap.
Yeah, probably the worst place to catch a car is in the Lesmos, one of the fastest parts of the circuit. You need that run all the way down the back straight. Ben is a serious campaigner. He knows when he needs to let a driver through. So just unfortunate that Hagman caught him at the worst possible time. But it does look like most of the drivers are on soft tyres. Ben Summers is actually trying the mediums this time, so maybe that's why he's a little bit off the pace.
And you can see by the lap times there that Hagman definitely slowed down in that sector 2 by some 2 seconds. So now perhaps this will be his campaign here for the pole. As we are about halfway through, we got just under 7 minutes remaining here. And it really hasn't changed at the top. Lars Hagman in top, Costas, Matej, and Nick, your top 4 still. Let's jump on with Lars and see he is yellow and yellow in both sectors 1 and 2, so he's not going to better himself this lap. Let's see where Costas is. Purple in sector 2 is Costas, and he is coming around now. This could be the pole. You could take it back right here. And he does. Wow, by 2/10. Very good lap there by Costas. Purple in both sectors 2 and 3, so he really found his way through and kept the hammer down through the parabolica there.
It looks like we're heading towards the 119s. I didn't expect they're going to be this fast, this quick. It does look like a few guys have decided to maybe space themselves out a little rather than being trapped under the rear wing. They need the air on the front wing to be able to come through some of these faster turns and not be slowed down at all. So brilliant lap from Kanzuris to take the top spot. He wants another win here.
Yeah, that will push him over the top with 1 to go after this, as he's only a few points behind. So these top drivers, if anybody, they have to keep in tow and stay right with him so that point separation doesn't get too great. So a top 5 finish for any one of the top 3, I think, will keep it very competitive for round 6.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can take the temperature today unless something really dramatic happens, but the top 5 is very, very close, so it's anyone's ball game, or in fact, anyone's motor race, to be perfectly honest.
And here comes Lars, purple in sector 1, green in sector 2, and is he going to take it back? Oh, Lars, he just missed it by 3/100ths of a second, just off, but that was his fastest lap of the day with a 120.344 versus a 120.309, so just hundredths separating these guys. Really tight. Bruno Pagela. I just wanted to mention, I thought he was going to cross, but he hasn't.
Yeah, so Hagman now up to 3rd, so he did put a fast lap in the end. He's still a 2nd away from the leaders, so maybe he's thinking of a bit more of a downforce, maybe considering a bit of a longer game, maybe lack of practice. But Dax Skobler now up to 4th with John van der Gies in 5th.
Very good lap there for John in the Ferrari. John's had a really pretty decent season so far in the series, but he's had some bad luck at the end of some of these races, as we witnessed the last 2 races in a row. I think he was almost on a podium with like 5 minutes to go, and then, you know, disaster strikes.
Yeah, we found out that this mod actually simulates brake explosions, and he had a rear brake failure at the worst point in Imola in round 2. So he's got some catching up to do. He's 4th in the championship at the moment, and he's not too far behind. So we never know what's going to happen today.
Right. And just on cue, Bruno Pagiola does jump himself up into 4th. I knew he was going to have it in him. He had a really good practice session, so he's bumped himself up into 4th. And we got a yellow in Sector 1, as you can see right there. Is that Summers? I think that was Ben, yeah, having a little bit of trouble there, negotiating that little chicane. So Matej Descobelaire in 5th, Vandergeest in 6th, Pitchler down in 7th. And Nick Westy, let's jump on board with him, surprisingly down in 9th. He's on it.
Nick Westy is actually he's up in the World Championship at the moment. I think he won the first 2 championships, if I recall correctly.
Yes, Series 1 and 2.
Slightly off the pace in this one. Right.
That's why the year-long quest for the Cup. Oh, we have a shortcut in front of Westy there. But yeah, he was very good in the Indy cars. And then in Series 2, he also won that championship. So as far as World Series points go, we'll have to update you that next round. For the last round, we'll give you a little bit of an update. But I'm wondering if Westy had a little bit of traffic there.
He's green in Sector 1, only 0.2 away from pole, so this should move him up to probably about the top 5. He just needs to keep it pinned for Sector 2, all the way down the back straight, avoiding that curb on the inside because it is huge. If you hit it, you're going to lose front wing and probably launch your car into the stratosphere.
Right.
So down to the Ascari chicane for the left to right. Unfortunately, the camera for me is in the tree, so I cannot see the car.
Well, he did lose some time
there. And then try and get a run out of the Ascari chicane down to the famous Parabolica. They are lifting off, maybe a little bit of brake, and then getting on the throttle as quick as possible, and across the line. Yellow sector in Sector 2 and across the line, and unfortunately a yellow sector in Sector 3. So good in the first sector, it's got to improve in the second and third.
Bill Brown coming into the pits now. Let's see, Bruno Pagiola, yellow and yellow, so he's not going to improve. He is challenging from position 4 as we speak. But Lars now might have a bid, and he is purple in 1 and 2. So here comes Lars Hegman. This is going to take the pole away from Cantasaurus if he can get a clean across the line, which should happen. This could be the 119th, Woody.
Oh!
Dismissed it by
close.
6 100ths. As you can see, that was everything he had. Excuse me. And he's taken a little bit of a scenic route off, so he is done. He has pulled off with 14 seconds left. So this is the last efforts here. Here comes Matej coming across. Excuse me, alongside Pitchler.
They are going to get one more lap in with only across the line about 3 or 4 seconds to go, but they're going to slow each other down through these first chicanes. And Matej, that is all over for Matej, so he's going to stay in 5th.
Oh, what a tough break. But still not a bad place to start. It looks like Costas got himself another lap in, but is it going to matter? He's already up there. As Ben works his way back to the pits with 3 wheels, but he's a trooper. He's bringing it in, and the session is over. We've got 1 car left on track besides Costas, and that is Philip Pitchler. He is on a time lap. He did cross the line just in time. So let's see if he can move himself up from 7th and jump ahead of Vandergeest, who he will be racing today. We know that Costas has put that fastest lap in, and he did get into the 19th. So Costas Cantasaurus with a 19.9 takes pole. And Will Pichler loses it on the parabolica and ends his qualification session in shambles. So good heavens. All right, we made it through. Ah, what do you think of that? Good Lord. All right, have the starting order is set and we are ready to begin. So these guys are going to get a 5-minute warm up and probably going out on their starting tires with full fuel tanks. As Woody stated, there is no refueling in this F1 mod, so you have to take what you can handle as what you think is going to make it. We did have a couple cars run out of gas in the past couple of rounds, so it does happen. You can make that mistake. So hopefully these guys will load up and be ready to rock.
I did just notice as well, Costas, I think it's one of his final laps. He's the only driver to dip into the 119s. I don't think we're going to see that pace in the race, but the only driver to dip into the 119s.
Yep, that
very fast.
119.9 on that last lap. He really took it to it. And of course, the Hagman brothers right there, 2 and 3, followed by Peggiola and Descobler. So very good session. Really tight at the top. Yeah, really good race. Let's hope everybody gets off clean.
Yep. So why don't you take us through the starting order, Rob? Let's see how they all stack up.
Very good. So, see here. In pole is Costas Cantazores with that 119, and then Lars Hagman, followed by his brother Bjorn Hagman in third place. Bruno Paggiola brings up the 4th spot, and then Matej Jaskelar in the 3rd row of the grid, and Sean Vandergeest in 6th, right alongside him. And then Philip Pichler and Phil Brown will take up the next row, followed by Nick Westy, Freddie Hell, Michael Lobel, and Ben Summers, which leaves Randy Merrick and Ed Jones finishing up the last row there. So
I think there was a couple of drivers that didn't go out in quali. They are starting at the back and waiting for all the chaos to ensue.
Yes. That is a strategy. And I think Ed Jones is one of those. He likes to start in the back and just drive through the carnage, and as you can see, he's right in the mid pack points wise, so there is a benefit to that strategy. Guys just challenging each other.
So as I said in the build-up, though, we're not expecting any weather change at all. The track temperature at the moment is a nice toasty 37 degrees. Air temperature 27 degrees. We're not really expecting any rain. So that's not going to come into the strategy. It's going to depend on what tyres drivers start on and what they change on. It is possible to go to the end on a no-stopper, but does anyone want to try it? We did see that there was a 2-stopper with soft tyres, and I believe Bjorn Hagman even soft tyres for just 1 stop, so it is possible. So a variety of strategies out there. There's a few people that do take hard tyres at the start, but we just have to see how it shakes out.
Yes, this will be quite the race. It's just pedal to the floor, then hard on the brakes for the turns, and then back down to the floor.
Monza has particularly 3 short straights. The front straight is a nice passing opportunity, hard braking down into turn 1. Out of the Lesmos down the back straight under the bridge, that's another passing opportunity, and then out of the Ascari chicane and down the back straight up to the Parabolica is another good passing places. So plenty of straights to get a slipstream, and as I say, if you lose the slipstream, you may be left behind.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this turn 1. Which is, I think it stayed through this through 96, I believe, until they put the other turn that we have today in. This, I think,
yeah, the chicanes have changed a little in modern day, to its detriment, I think. It's a better flow nowadays, I think, but if you remember, if you don't know anything about Monza, Monza did have an oval bank back in the 20s and 30s. We definitely don't have that. You could probably see it as they come onto the main straight. You can see the oval bank in the background. So it's quite well worth downloading one of the older versions of Monza and having a go around the banking. It's very bumpy and very scary.
Yes, indeed. The old 10K layout. And we have it in R Factor 2. We have it in AMS 2, which we've raced with some of the vintage F1 as well there. It's quite a lap to do that. The double split start-finish line where you're on the inside for the first lap and then you're on the outside of it for the second half of the lap, where you actually take the big banked curve that was so famous. All right, we are back to the last 10 seconds of warm-up here, and we are about ready to get started here. So let's keep our fingers crossed for a good, safe start and have no incidents on the grid. Everybody can get a fair shot here at this round 5 at Monza. Session is over. Cars will be gridding up once we hear the most famous words in sim racing. Brought to you by Gijon Camry back in 18 years ago now? R Factor 1 came out? It was a while, I'm guessing, but I know.
2015, I think.
It's 10 years ago.
It's old.
And there we have it. Non-essential personnel leave the grid now. That is one of my favorites. All right. 51 laps here, as is the real race back in 84, I believe it was. Put the battle box up for you guys so you can see what's going on. As you can see, row 1 there with Costas and Hegman, row 2 there with the other Hegman and Pagola, row 3 as we are underway. And there is the green. Everybody's up to a start. Nobody's hit anybody yet. Let's keep it live. Let's go. Oh, some action in the back. Looked like a little bit of a warp lag, but I think everybody's made it off the grid. Get through the first couple turns. Oh, there's a shortcut, a couple of shortcuts. Holy smokes. Everybody is just mowing the lawn through there as Lars gets a brilliant run. You can see he's already jumped out in front of Costas by almost a second. As the mid of the pack keeps coming through, here is Vandergeest and Descavalier. Vandergeest dropping back to 8th. But on the brighter side, he is in one piece, so something to be said. Following up here is Merrick Summers and Ed Jones. Bringing up here. Somebody's in the wall there. Somebody is in the wall. Is that Freddie? Freddie has lost his wing. Oh! We've got a couple cars. LaBelle and Freddie. Both injured on lap 1. Okay, back to the pointy end. Woo! As you can see, Lars hitting those curbs. Throws the car off as he heads down that last straight. Heading for the Parabolica. Here they come. Lars Hagman. Costas Cantatoris and Bruno Paggiola. They're top 3. Trying to stay in the zip code. These two have a pretty good gap on Paggiola. But then you can see just behind here, this battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th are nice group of cars here as they have finished lap 1 of this round 5 at Monza. These guys are coming through. We have another car going up. Oh my heavens, that's going to end in tears. That's one of the other way. Oh, we've got 2
That's
cars.
one of the Renaults.
2 of them have been collected now.
That's Nick Westy and that's Bjorn Hagman. That's one of the championship leaders, and we've got our first DNF.
It is Bjorn. So again, we see mishap at the beginning. Lars still out in front, but oh, Freddie Hell is out, and Bjorn Hagman is out of the race. Freddie is pitting. He's going to get himself a new wing, but good Lord, that you can see that turn 1 at Monza never let you down as far as drama goes. Good heavens. We do have a tight race here in the top as Costas now, as we saw, had that little bit quicker time. He did get into the 19s in quali. He's under a second behind Lars as the top two seem to be breaking away in the pack here. They clear Parabolica.
Freddie Hill was one of the casualties of the first couple of corners, but he's repaired and he's got going.
Good to see. And here comes this mid-pack. So third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are all within the same zip code here as they can navigate through here. This was the sign of the incident. Oh, Pitchler has an off. Crazy business there.
Nick Westy is off. Nick Westy is off near the Parabolica. He's now missing a front wing and a rear wing.
Westy. Oh, there he is. I'm going to light up the track map for you now so you can see the positions on track. Westy is making it into the pits. And Randy Merrick has bumped himself up into 7th, just getting around Ed Jones. Now remember, Ed Jones was playing it safe, and he is now in the top 10. He is in 8th position, just behind Merrick here.
Now the casualty, Dax Gobbler was trying to get back to the pits without a rear wing, and we have our second retirement.
Gobbler out too. So some of the top runners are already out of this race. As we have a battle for the podium here, the last step, Bruno and Philip Pitchler. Pitchler finds himself again in this round in good shape. He's up there in the point, and he's going to make a pass down the pit and start finish line, and he looks like he does get a move going around Pagiola. If he can make it through the turns here. Oh, and he doesn't, has to shortcut it. So the stewards are not going to be happy with that. A couple more of those, and he's going to get a drive-through. And it doesn't look like Bruno's happy with that either. As Bruno gets the position back. And now they are fighting and fighting. I believe that is justice, though. Bruno should probably have got that spot after the cut. But these guys are duking it out. We got over the curbs. Holy smokes, what happened to him there? He's back in action. But you saw him fly off the curb. That dropped him down behind Vandergeest, who now finds himself in 4th in the Ferrari, just ahead of Bruno. As you can see, excuse me. Wow.
Yeah, it looked like Pagiola didn't quite get the move done around the outside. Pitchler was fully up the inside into that chicane, but Pagiola wanted to keep it strung out on the outside, and you just completely run out of space. And as we noted in the first part of this program, those curbs are lethal.
Yeah, that was most unfortunate. And now Pitchler finds himself in 3rd. But I had Bruno Pagiola is probably on a mission now. I would imagine that he's pretty hot. It was some decent racing, but as you said, there's just no room for 2 cars in that section. And you see Pitchler now does take the proper way through the first chicane this time. I mean, I guess if you get it all wrong and you miss your braking, you might still live another day to cut through the dirt rather than smack into the wall. So well, that's a tough choice. It must be made.
Yeah, top 2 have now broken away from the rest. 3rd, 4th, and 5th are in close proximity, but a few people maybe not thinking about the long game here, but there is a nice group of cars back from 3rd to about 6th place that are very, very close together. But Lars Hagman, after that disastrous start line accident 2 weeks ago, is now setting the pace with a 124.8.
Right, and you can see Nick Westy there after the repair is having a little bit of trouble. We might have some damage still as he loses the car in the Parabolica there as the leaders are coming up on him. He is pitting again, so he might have a little bit of steering or suspension issues or something, but he is coming in yet again. But keep it in the race, Nick. As Costas comes across. Fastest lap of the race so far is Lars with that 124.8. Here comes Pitchler. with Vandergeest not too far behind.
We did see quite clearly that Schler had a lot of pace on Paggiola coming down the straight, so again, fuel strategy is the thing. They can turn up the engine up to qualifying mode temporarily and turn it back down when they don't need the boost, but that was quite decisive. I don't think the draft was that strong, so maybe Pichler decided turn on the overtake button. Maybe that would be the good modern way of saying it.
Right,
but,
there you go.
But fuel strategy is going to be key.
You can see Phil Brown finds himself in 6th position, chasing Bagiola, who's in 5th. And we'll get a good look now if he's just, I think, just enough room to get a little bit of the draft here. As you can see him using I bet you he's on the overtake button. You can see he's hitting the red there, so they just got to navigate these curbs. And Bruno just gets through, though, turns a little bit better, but look at the speed he gains here. He's really, really catching up on the straight, but then just not enough time left. It really looks like he's working hard, too, on that wheel. If you can see from the cockpit view, he's constantly making adjustments there. It looks like that car is a handful. But this is the tightest battle on the track, and he's going to go for it. He takes the outside, bringing it back to the inside, so he does get the spot as Phil Brown moves up. Phil Brown also races in our MS2 series. He's really put some competitive drives in on that series too, which we do have round 1 of the BMW Challenge starting on Mondays, which will be tomorrow at, I think it's at 1900 race time. It'll be round 1.
So we mentioned about there was a couple of drivers that didn't qualify. Ed Jones was one of them. He's already up to 8th place. And he is one of the drivers that started on soft tyres. The top 3 are on softs. From 4th down to 7th are on mediums. And 8th, 9th and 10th are also on mediums. And it looks like we've had another retirement. Unfortunately, Michael Labelle has unfortunately retired at this early stage.
We can see now, following Bruno Paggiola, after he was passed by Phil Brown, he does not have the top speed that Phil Brown does. So perhaps Phil is on a very low downforce setup compared to Bruno, because Phil's able to run away from him just like he was able to run up on him and catch him. As you can see by this view here, that he is just running away on the straight. So something to keep in mind for later, as Phil will navigate through these turns, perhaps with a little less downforce.
The gap between the first and second has now opened up 3 seconds, so Costas is now out of draft range and Lars is stretching his legs out front, but there is a gap between second and third. It's now up to 18 seconds in just a few laps, so these top 2 are in a class of their own at the moment. And there is a battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th, but we'll see if they come together at the pit stops.
Bruno has lost his wing. Oh, and he's ran over his wing, and that has sent him into the wall again. Oh, now he's on fire. It looks like Bruno is on a barbecue and is burst into flames in the Lesmos and is going to be our next retirement. So another unfortunate mishap. Oh, MONZA is taking its toll on these drivers. 4 drivers now out of this race. That's going to be good news for Freddie Hell and Nick Westy, though.
In the earlier rounds, we did see a lot of drivers mistiming their shifts, maybe redlining it a bit too much and blowing their engines, but that's an interesting way to go out. Unfortunately, with the front wing caught under the front tyres, you can't really do much about it. You're heading to the scene of the accident.
Right.
So, unfortunate for Paggiola, because he could have picked up some good points here.
Yeah, he was very competitive this round. I follow our leader, Lars. He's coming up on the 9th place car of Freddie Hell in front there. who has had a few incidents but is currently in 9th place. So that bumps Jones up to 7th now, the retirement of Bruno. There is Jones. We've got another yellow. Oh, it is.
Westy.
Again, Westy just can't get it right. Just having issue after issue. Looks like his car's in one piece though, so perhaps he didn't get the practice time in he needed and he's just missing these braking points. But he is still in the race, so like you said, points pay all the way out to the end. Let's get a view from his cockpit here so we can see. Looks like his wheel is straight, so I believe he's just got his hands full. As the leader is now coming up on the lap cars. As he gets through Summers. Next up will be Freddie Hell for the leaders.
Fastest lap by Costas Kanzouras that last time by. He's now down to at 124.6, so he's on the pace. He's just got a gap of 3 seconds to the leader. So I wonder if he's purposely made that gap to not have the aero wash. Slightly close between Freddie Hell and the leader, though. That was a bit close.
Yes. Does get through, and Costas has gotten through Freddie Hell. So Costas was probably hoping that perhaps that Hell would have held him up a little bit, let him catch up some of that gap. But the traffic is part of racing. Oh, and he's lost it now.
Spun.
Lars has spun, and he's going to give it up now. And now Costas Kantazoris is taking the lead. As we are in the trees, sorry for the camera view there, but wow. What a rough go for Lars there. And I believe that was an unassisted error. He just got it all wrong. Perhaps he caught the curb. I didn't see close enough. Meanwhile, Bruno is out. Westy puts up to the 10th position for Westy now. All right. There is Lars.
Checking out. Lars just came through the second chicane and just got the first part of the chicane all wrong and overturned the car. Just coming in with a bit too much speed, unfortunately.
Here is Summers with Pitchler, third place, gets through Summers. As you can see, Pitchler ahead there of Ben Summers. Holding on to that third position. This will be a good finish if he can hold it up. Although we are just still in the very beginning of this race with 51 laps. We are on lap 13 of 51. We got a long way to go.
Ben Summers, I am slightly impartial because he is my teammate, but he was one of the drivers that unfortunately didn't fuel enough, didn't take into account his race setup. But he did finish on the tail end of the top 10. I think it was a P8, but only had 50 laps of fuel and we were doing 70. So he stayed in the pits for the remainder of the race.
Right. Well, here's Randy Merrick, currently in 6th place. Nobody in front, nobody behind. He's just got to hit his mark to keep his pace up. Could get a good finish out of this. As the leader has just gotten back around Freddie Hell. Freddie Hell's kind of staying with him a little bit there, so not too far off the pace is Freddie, but just finds himself out of position and a lap down now.
So we actually do have the top 3 in championship order at the moment. So if things stay as they are, well, in fact, now Lars has actually given up the lead, he would probably drop down to 2nd place, but it tightens the championship up quite significantly. But it still means that 3rd place has an opportunity. I think Ed Jones has come to grief, and is that our next retirement, unfortunately.
Oh no, Jones! Ah, Mr. Consistent. Well, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail.
Yeah, he was just coming into the first Lesmo chicane. He hit the curb and off he went to the scene of the accident. In fact, that was Lesmo too. He stripped the car of its parts.
That's where Bruno burst into flames after hitting the wall. Looked like he could have survived it and he made it to the pits to get a wing, did Bruno, but since he was on top of his wing, he had no front end steering and just crashed into that wall and burst into flames, as we witnessed. So, good news for Westy. That's going to bump him up into 9th position. Vandergeest also having another decent run, finding himself in 5th. It's a pretty familiar spot for John during this whole series. He's now in 4th, however. Phil Brown in 5th, but I believe Phil Brown has a little bit of pace on him, but going by the last laps, Vandergeest still has a couple tenths advantage in lap times. But you can see Phil right there. So perhaps
Phil Brown has taken part in 3 of the Grand Prix. He missed out on the last round, unfortunately. Finished 7th in the first round, but unfortunately he hasn't travelled the top 10 for the next 2. So this looks like a good round for Phil.
Uh-oh, Freddie help. More trouble for Freddie. Freddie's into the wall. Can he get it out of there?
Unfortunately, span at the fastest part of the circuit, so we've got to be careful for cars coming from behind, but looks like he's undamaged and he's got going again.
Yes, indeed. I'm trying to see if he's a little squiggly there. It looks like he might have a little bit of trouble holding the car straight. See if he comes into the pit. Oh, he's going to leave it out there, so he must be good to go. So it's a definite battle of attrition here. The survival is the key, I believe, at this point in time. As the first quarter of this race has claimed many drivers already. So
if we're expecting a one stop, it would be around 25 laps in. But if we were expecting 2 stops, I would imagine that the cars would be coming in around about now, but we don't see any drivers that are attempting a 2 stop. I think Freddie has gone round again, fortunately out the chicane. Hitting those curves a bit too hard.
I think he's in trouble. He's got to have some suspension damage or something.
Also notice, Rob, in 3rd place, Philip Pitchler has decided to turn up the wick. He's currently got the fastest first sector, so is he now okay on fuel? And he's pushing all the way to the end. So I know he's 19 seconds down from the leader, but is this his comeback?
Yeah, 31.4 for that first sector. It's the purple sector. Best lap so far is a 125.7. His last was a 126.2. See if he can better that this lap. And 125.8, so not quite his best lap, but definitely a faster lap. With Vandergeest, 126.1, the car behind him by some 6 seconds. And then Phil Brown has that 6-second gap to Vandergeest. So putting in some decent times here. Vandergeest's best lap is a 26.6, where Phil Brown's best lap is a 25.7. However, the last lap, He had about 5 or 6 tenths on him, did Vandergeest. So meanwhile, Costas having a run here. Got just about a 5-second gap on the spun Lars. And remember, Costas did set the pole lap and did have the fastest lap. And Lars now has the fastest lap of the race with a 24.5. So we might have a little bit of action here as this race goes on. And depending like what you said, Woody, the pit stops is really going to come in key here. But we'll keep
so
it.
Just looking back a bit in history, the 1984 Italian Grand Prix was actually taking place in September, so we're kind of around about the same time. We're 2 days shy because 9th of September for 1984, but they did indeed do 51 laps back then in the same layout. But it was Niki Lauda that came away with the win on that day with very, very similar cars. So unfortunately, I don't think we have any McLarens in the field. No one decided to pick the McLaren that's taking part today. I think De Silva and Talviti, who unfortunately are not here today, that do sport the McLarens. But out front, it's the Renault with the Tyrrell not far behind, and I think it's Pichler as well. He's in the Tyrrell. No, it's the Brabham in second. They are very similar in car shape, but it's Brabham in second with those swept back side pods with the Pichler's Tyrrell. I think it's modelled on Stephanie Johansson's car. So very good looking cars back then.
Yeah, you can see the vents, the intakes there on both cars are very unique. As you see, it's the Tyrrell that Pichler's in. Has that sort of
it's not conventional to the other cars. The other cars had their sides a bit further up. It's what I kind of appreciated about the 80s. There's a lot of different car designs. Every single car in this field looks a tiny bit different. The rules had a bit more leeway, and the designers went ham on the trying to get these ground effect cars to work with turbos in this era.
Well, Lars has gotten it, keeps teetering between 3.9 and 4 seconds back, so I believe he is starting to creep up a little bit. Although the last laps, Lars had a 1:24.8 compared to Costas' 25.3, so definitely making a little progress there. Slowly but surely gaining now. It could be Costas just taking it easy. See right there, the gap. They've raced through Parabolica here. Curious to see what these lap times are like as Costas will cross the line here. 25.5 and Lars with a 24.8. So again, shaving off. He's down almost a second now he has gained. So he's tightening right back up as Lars is putting in his bid to take back P1.
Yeah, I'm watching some of the sectors, and it looks like Lars in second is particularly fast in the first sector. Well, no, rather the second sector, but Costas is fast in the first sector. So maybe some setup differences which are providing a bit of a discrepancy between both of the cars. But the gap is staying around. It's now down to 2.2 seconds, as I think we've seen an arrows go around. Is that Ben Summers?
Yeah, Ben Summers. I was on him as he was stuck in the grass there. We watched him try to get through as traffic was passing. I don't think it cost him a position yet, though, as he's almost a lap ahead of Nick Westy. But yeah, he had a little bit of an issue there, but the car's in one piece, so. Meanwhile, back to this battle. 2.6 is the gap. So Lars really pushing.
And as you said at the start, Rob, you've had a little bit of a go of these cars, and I think you'll probably know from experience, you really have to rewire your brain for how fast these cars are. You can take so much speed through these turns, more than you think you can. You just got to trust that the thing will stick. But I kind of glad that I'm in the broadcast booth and not anyone in cockpit. As I think 7th place has spun. Is that Freddie Halligan? Undamaged, but he's that's not his favourite pace of the track. That's the second time he's spun at that
He
chicane.
seems to be having a bad time there.
But he's keeping going. It's well worth sticking with it for points.
Vandergeest has lost a wing, and Phil Brown is taking over 4th place as Vandergeest pulls into the pits. So John got it all wrong and is stopping to get a little wing damage. I would assume he probably would put tires on now too to get it down in 1, maybe try to finish the end. But Phil Brown moves himself up into 4th due to the mishap of Vandergeest. We missed what happened there, but obviously lost his wing. That gap was closing too. It was going to be a good race, but John just gave it up there. Meanwhile, Lars closing 2.1 now on this lap as they head down the straight, and he's coming in. So Lars Hegman pitting from 2nd place. This is the perhaps going for the undercut on Costas. As Costas stays out. So pitting at lap 21, just approximately close to where you said, almost halfway. So telling me he's going to go all the way with this next selection of tires, which I believe will probably be softs as well. We'll know when he comes out. But now we find Costas in a little bit of traffic here as he's getting through the 9th place car and the 5th place car, I believe.
Yeah, I was just looking back at John's accident. It looks like he just lost the rear coming out of the Lesmo too. And unfortunately, I think that's a very similar place to a couple of drivers that have hit the curb and come unsettled, and you just don't have the turning ability after your car's off the track, literally above the track. So unfortunately, it took his front wing off. So it's going to be a considerable amount. He's in the pits. He's leaving now though. But that was a considerable time that we sat in the pits, and he's now down to 7th place.
Right, here he comes. So back in it. And he does have the 6th place car, Freddie Hell, in front, and Freddie has had his struggle, so perhaps in a few laps' time he will be able to battle for that. But let's see if Costas does indeed stay out. So the undercut from Lars, who is back out on track now, but some 19 seconds back. So as that gap was closing, he decided to just bring it in and pit. And is he on the softs again? I'm on a different screen.
Let's have a look.
Gave you a...
It takes a while to update the tyres. So Vandergeest is back out on the mediums. And Freddie Hell is now on the mediums as well. So it's only the top 3 that are on softs, with Nick Westy and 9th on the soft as well.
Good news for Randy Merrick. He is now in the top 5. So with any bit of luck, if he has any good luck at all, which we hope for, he might be able to finish up in his top 5. It would be his best finish in the Grand Prix. Had a bit of a run of bad luck in some of these races, but glad to see him up there in that corn-fed livery. All right, so the gap...
Did we see Kansuras come into the pits?
Somebody just crashed behind the 2nd place car. I saw dirt, but I think that was our 9th place car, Nick Westy. Yep, Westy. Westy could be calling it today. He is parked, and he is parking the car. So Westy's out. Yet another DNF. Just too much today for Westy. Just couldn't quite keep it together. But Lars pushing now with those fresh tires. He's got the fastest Sector 2 time, 26.5. And his last lap time was at 23.7 compared to the leader, Costas' 25.5. So definitely charging, I'm sure, with those fresh, soft tires. The gap keeps dropping. It was 19 and now it's 15. So Costas better start thinking about that. It looks like a pit stop gap time is about 19 to 20 seconds. So at this point in time, if Costas were to pit now, I think Hagman might be in the lead.
So we could maybe assume that Hagman is trying for a fast 2-stop. And Zurus probably pushing towards a one-stop, trying a bit of an offset, perhaps. He is quick enough, but he's losing a second now that Lars on fresh tires, 123.7.
Yes, Lars is on a mission. You can see him there. He's a straightaway away. As Cantador completes the Parabolica, and Lars is just now entering the Parabolica. So, brilliant times there. 31.3 in Sector 1 was Lars's last. And here he comes. Let's get his time as Delta 15, and his lap time, another 23.5. Wow, versus the 25.5 of the leader. So some really good stuff happening here with our last few remaining drivers.
Yeah, I think to make this work, he's got to push for these second stint. Otherwise, I don't know if he's maybe predict that Kansas is going to go for a one-stopper, but he needs to go at least a second or so quicker to make this strategy work. It will come together after the second stop, but when is Kansas going to pit? We are nearly at half distance, 24 laps of 51, so any moment now, our leader could come into the pits.
Freddie Hill gets around the lap car of Ben Summers. Summers in survivor mode is now in the top 10. He's in 8th place, and all he has to do is finish. It can't get any worse. And the leader's in. Costas is pitting. So here we go. Let's have a look now. Like I said, it was going to be about 19 seconds. I believe that here it is. Costas is going. Lars, give it up to Lars. And with this is going to be quite the gap now.
That was a very quick stop.
Yeah, so Costas quick on the tires.
Looks like he's back out on soft as well. So the soft strategy, even for a full-length pre, is applicable. And we assume that it's going to be a one-stop. So Lars has got to push on to get a gap in order to make this work.
So it appears to me that the undercut worked for Lars, because he's now got that 5-second gap. Said it was going to be about 19 seconds to 20 for a pit stop, but that was a really quick stop for Costas. Now let's see what kind of lap times.
Sorry, but Robert, I think Van der Geest has put it a day. I don't know if he came out after his damaged pit stop, but unfortunately he has DNF'd from 7th. That moves Ben Summers up to 7th place.
Wow, they're dropping like flies halfway through.
Totaling the championship points as we go along, and this is going to have a really big effect on the latter half of the field. I think the top half of the field is going to stay very, very similar as Lars Hagman puts another fastest lap of the race. He's making the most of these soft tyres with a 123.2.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what kind of times Costas can put in now that he's on the fresh set of softs. So he will have about 4 or 5 laps fresher tires for the end.
And we did see at Dijon that Bjorn Hagman did pit around this time. He did pit very, very early. I can't remember if it was for damage or whether it was scheduled, but he pitted early. And we were expecting him to come in for a second stop, but he never did. So this could be the same strategy from Lars Hagman, maybe.
Costas' lap time now with the fresh softs. Didn't register. It looks like a 25.0. But Hegman with that 23.2 on his last lap. Stretching that out. It's just about a 5.5 second gap.
Yeah, I think he's got to stay in the 124s to at least have a chance. When Lars pits, he's going to be behind by about 5 to 10 seconds. So he he's still pushing on. He's still extending the gap. So we expect them to probably come into the pits around lap 30 or so for a few stop if that is what they're going for. Maybe lap 35. So we're not far off from their second steps already. Time is flying. As Lars puts in a 122.8.
Wow. So there, or that was Costas? Costas.
Oh, that's Costas, yeah. Now
Yeah.
his tyres are warm and he's flying.
So there we go. Now let's see if that 5-second gap comes down. Remember, Costas did set pole, and he was the one to break into the 19s. Now with the fuel at half as much as they started with, at least, right? He could be on a lighter load and be able to push and get some of those quicker times in. The gap is still right at 5.5 seconds, so no change on the gap, but that was a brilliant lap setting that 122.8. Just about 3 tenths off.
Strategy to, sorry Rob, it could have been a strategy to hang back at the start, maybe save a little bit of fuel, and then find out that you can now turn the fuel up to its maximum and just go for it for the rest of the race. That is a strategy. As we saw Lars must be pushing because he just went over the first chicane.
Yeah, and no fear of overheating the engine on the full boost, as long as your radiator's open.
Yep, got to keep that red line. Got to keep away from that red line, I think. But and don't hit the wall. That's also a good thing.
Wow, the gap has come down 1.5 seconds already, and not even on a full lap. Now that Costas' tires are up to speed to 3.9, from 5.4 to 3.9 in the half a lap as he's getting through the traffic. That was probably part of it too, was the lap traffic, I think.
Yeah, Merrick is now pitted from 5th place, and he's out onto the circuit.
That was Summers that was right there. I think Summers was the one that helped that gap come down, as Lars had to get through Lesmos behind the lap car, and now both are clear, and the gap is back up to 4.4. So with that 122.8, fastest lap of the race for Costas, and let's see what it is this time. 23.3 was the last one, so versus a 123.9 for Lars, so he is closing it. There is Lars. You can see the gap. You'll be able to see him coming around the turn here. That's what 4 seconds looks like.
As Pitchler gets from 3rd.
All right, Pitchler in and out. Another quick stop. This makes for a good race here for 3rd, because I think that only puts Brown about 5 seconds back. But now Pitchler with fresh tires, and Brown has not pitted yet, so. There is Phil, who picked up that spot from Vandergeest, who's now out of the race, unfortunately.
So I think Brown must be a pit stop behind, unfortunately.
Yes.
So it looks very close at the moment, but I think he's a very comfortable 3rd place at the moment. He's running a steady pace on soft tyres and keeping out of trouble. We know for a fact that these curbs have bitten a few drivers tonight.
Yes.
And they go straight towards the barriers, and unfortunately the bargain bin of spare parts is filling up as we speak.
Yes. I'm showing that Phil is on the same lap as Pitchler, though, unless there's an error. Some 5 seconds back.
Yeah, I think he's on the same lap. I mean, haven't actually seen him come into the pits yet. But
Nor have I. And now, Pitchler did pit, so that was the gap difference. That's why it's so close now. That explains it.
So even though we've got a drivers' championship up for grabs, and we normally look at that as being one of the most important parts, there is a team championship up for grabs as well. And we have pretty much the top three within 10 points of each other. Team Solitude is winning the team championship with 81 points at the moment. If I just reference my sheet, Team Solitude is actually one of the members is Philip Pischler. So he's doing well for team points today. Unfortunately, Mate Daxkobler was an early retirement, which is another member of Team Solitude. So unfortunately, probably not full points this time, but second in the team championship right now is GEAR with 79 points. Now, GEAR normally have a couple of members in the races. John van der Geest is one of them, and unfortunately, Chantini Talviti is another, but has turned up for one round, fitting Grand Prix in around his work, but unfortunately can't turn up for any more at the moment. And in third place is MRG, who have about 4 members, I think, Rob?
Yes, and that's Randy Merrick and Freddie Hell are 2 of them that are in this race.
Brown is coming to the pits.
Okay, so Phil Brown finally pits. Now, he does losing time, though. That gap went from 4 to 8 seconds. But the gap to the lead, kind of maintaining around that 4 or 5 second gap, so 4.6 for this lap. But the last lap times, 23.7 for Hagman versus 23.5 for Contosaurus, so was able to close a little bit of that gap. But I think it's just turn after lap. If you hit the apex right, you might gain a tenth. You hit it wrong, you're going to lose a tenth. So it's tough to tell.
Yeah, I think Brown is out on soft, so he's got a 20-lap push for the rest of this race. But he is in a very secure fourth at the moment. His closest competitor is 84 seconds behind, so he's not in any worry of losing that position. But this is a push. We'll wait until the end.
And that would be MRG's Randy Merrick. That in 5th place, which is also a solid 5th place. All he's got to do is finish. And as you can see by the DNF rate, that is not an easy task. So kudos to these leaders for being able to push and keep it alive so far. As the gap increased on that last lap, it's up to 5.3, so cost us losing a little bit of time. But perhaps he's just maintaining right now. He knows that we're just past halfway, so give it another 10 laps or so before it's time to start pushing.
They are still within the same back straight. They can see each other. And I sometimes when driving, I prefer like a metaphorical carrot to chase. So I think that the fact that Kanzurus can see Hagman ahead of him, he can push on. But again, he's got to save these tyres to the end of the race if he is in fact doing just a one stop. And perhaps Lars, we don't know whether he's going to be in a second time, or whether he sees if it is being worth it.
Right, we know that Costas does have 4 or 5 laps fresher tires. Now a few more, I can keep track there. But they were sharing lap times in the 23s, and just that last lap cost us bumped back into the 24s. So perhaps it could be saving a little bit of rubber for the end. Like I said, as long as he can see him, that is a psychological advantage. If you can see him, you can catch him, was the old saying that we used to have.
I was just looking down my chart as well, and I don't know if we saw Ben Summers come into the pits at all. I wonder whether he's maybe trying for a one-stopper, but maybe it was Freddie Hell that I saw him come in. He pitted early for damage. I think he's pitted properly for tyres this time, so nearly half distance for Freddie Hell as well.
I heard dogs are barking in the background. That must mean somebody's getting close. See, the leaders are closing in on Phil Brown, but Phil Brown has that really amazing top speed. As you can see, he's constantly weaving down the start the straights. So I'm telling you, he's got some steering things going on here. I don't know if that's his driving style, but we're on board with him now. Whoa, he's off the curb and keep it off the wall, and he's into the wall. As we have just witnessed, excuse me, the demise. He's lost 2 of the 4 tires. He is in the way, and both the leaders get through without incidents, but that is it for Phil Brown as we were on board with him. He just lost it into the wall, coming out of Lesmos, and just destroyed the car. Wow. And yet another one drops.
I think we can probably blame Rob for the commentator's curse on that one. He was
I apologize, Phil.
he was looking for a good finish as well. That's very annoying. He must be really kicking himself. But that corner, the Lesmo 2, has been an absolute car graveyard. I think it's clipping that inside curb and hitting the exact same wall that John Van der Geest did. So, and he obliterated it as well.
Yeah, that was a great wreck. What a yard sale. But I'm telling you, I don't know if you noticed that the car was never going straight. Down the straight, he was constantly swerving back and forth, like it had some kind of toe problem or something. But that's just what it appeared.
It's very similar. I see a lot of drivers when they have like their force feedback quite considerably, and it's maybe a very bumpy track. The wheel will kind of bounce a little bit off the dampers, or you try to keep it straight. But if you're trying to keep it straight and trying to hold the wheel, it makes it look like I was weaving all over the place. So maybe he does have the force feedback quite turned up, and hopefully he took his hands off the wheel when that accident happened.
Yeah, that was some kind of wreck. So we've seen quite a few destruction sequences here with fires, parts flying, and man, the latest DNF, Phil Brown. Sad to see him go. That was going to be a good finish for Phil. But good news for Randy Merrick is he is now in 4th. So Team MRG is going to get some points, as well as Randy himself, who has had a little bit of issues with this Series 3, but I'm glad to see him up there if he can just finish now in that top 4, get himself some good points.
Dan Zuris just put in a fastest lap of the race at 1:22.8, so he's still pushing. Gap is now down to about 4.7 seconds. This isn't over until the last 10 laps.
Here is the leader now. Lars coming up on that 4th place car of Randy Merrick. So, oh, and Randy takes the shortcut, coming across. Keep it off. There you go. Okay. Well, I bet Costas was hoping for a little bit more of a log jam on that to save him some time, but the gap still remains the same, just about 4.5 seconds from 1st to 2nd. So hopefully Costas will have the same advantage here to get through, as he's coming through Parabolica now to get around Randy. So should get a good run down the straight, and Randy will let him by. There he goes.
Perfect place to a lapped car, which is on the main straight.
However, just not quite enough time. Oh, he let him through. Okay.
There we go.
Randy applies the brakes to let the leaders fight on, so that was good. Don't mess up your 4th place, Randy. Just hang in there.
So it looks like the top 3 have lapped all the way up to 4th place, so
yeah,
they are considerably. I've just seen Freddie Hell have a little bit of incident. That must be a bogey chicane for Freddie.
Yeah,
the Ascari chicane.
It's
providing a bit of entertainment.
Randy's teammate at MRG, Freddie Howell. Yeah, these guys seem to have their hands full with this AD4 mod.
I think one of the downsides of this course as well, if anyone's ever looked at the modern version of this track, it has a lot more runoff. So particularly around the Parabolica, a lot of the drivers could probably be saved by the gravel, but the barriers are so close on this version. including the Lesmos. But I guess around the Lesmos there isn't really too much room for error, particularly the first chicane and the second chicane. They've now got concrete runoffs as they do in modern day, but this back in the day it was gravel and grass. And hello barrier.
Yeah, and we've got a guest.
Guys.
We've got a guest, John Vandergeest.
John van der Geest. G-E-E-S-T.
Welcome,
Sorry, guys,
John.
I lost my internet connection.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, we're trying to figure it out. I'm gonna.
Yeah, so I just got it back. No point in returning, I think.
So you were in 4th place, weren't you, John? You were having a good run. We saw
Yeah.
that you took off one of your spare wings at the start. That Lesmo 2 has been pretty vicious for a lot of drivers today.
Yeah, you know what happened at the start? I thought I was safe. So I overshot the first chicane, and then I thought, okay, no one behind me, I'm safe. But then those mofos are running boost 2 while I was on boost 1, and they all shot by me like a rocket. So that was that. I went from 6th to 8th place. So I thought, well, I'll just settle down and I'll just get into my own rhythm. And sure enough, there were people dropping out, and all of a sudden I was in 4th place without overtaking anybody. And so, but you know what the problem with me is? When I'm running alone, I start daydreaming, and then I can keep my concentration up for half an hour. If I have nothing to do, for half an hour, for 35 minutes, and then the day starts passing me by, what I'm going to do tomorrow, and all that stuff. So I made the inevitable mistake, and then that was my wing gone. I had a repair time of 90 seconds, 90 seconds. So that was pretty much it. But I decided for you guys, because you were putting in effort for the broadcast, I thought, well, I'll stay in. Otherwise, we only had 8 cars left, I think. So otherwise it would be 7. And I think you deserve the effort.
Well, thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
we had a few technical
And I
difficulties there, but we're back in action now. If you got a few scenes of behind-the-scenes action on the broadcast, but as John was talking to us, I was trying to adjust his volume. So you might have seen some of that. But yeah, that was most unfortunate. We tried to figure out what happened there. We do have 6 drivers left now.
Oh. How much time is that?
Just 11 laps.
11 laps.
Oh, so you can stick it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the gap is
What?
closing. The gap to the lead has come down from 5 seconds to 3.4, so Costas is pushing, and he has closed that gap.
Excitement at the end.
Yeah, it's been really good.
We are expecting, or we thought that Lars Hagman pitting early was going to be doing a 2-stopper, but I don't think he's going to see it as being worth it. There's only 11 laps to go. He's
I was
going to be, what, 20...
going to do one stop.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers have. There's been no 2-stoppers this round, so...
And is anybody going... Sorry. Is anybody going through on the soft tires without a stop?
Not without a stop, no. There's a couple of drivers that are doing a 1-stop with soft tyres, but I think it was only Phil Brown that started on the mediums, pitted late for the softs, but the rest of them have been a mixture of either started on softs and stayed on softs, or started on the mediums and stayed on the mediums.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will not detain you any longer. I would have stayed in if the internet connection held up, but unfortunately, one more round to go, and I'll see you at Hockenheim.
All right, John.
Brilliant, John. Thank you for hosting.
Okay,
and
goodbye.
thanks for the visit.
Okay, bye-bye.
I was just thinking in my head as well that if you know about the Canadian Grand Prix, the Gilles Villeneuve circuit, there's a corner on that track called the Champions Wall.
Yes.
And we can maybe dub the second Lesmo as our Champions Wall tonight. So yeah, it's been a bit of a magnet for the drivers. But yeah, 6 drivers left. You just have to kind of keep going. A lot of these drivers are struggling a lot. These cars are challenging.
Yes, and the gap is under 3 now as Costas pushes on. There you can see Lars just ahead
Grandstand finish coming up.
as he gets through Lesmos. Woo! That is the scene of many a heartbreak today. So that gap is coming down to just under 3 seconds now, 2.9. So as predicted, with the 10 to go, Costas is pushing it. He is pushing that car now. He does have the pressure tires. Remember, Lars was the one that pitted early. We thought perhaps 2 stops, but at this point in time, a stop gives up the race, so I'm sure he's going to try to battle and hang on.
A lot of the drivers actually do stream, and they show us the setup that they drive with. And I think Lars, if I remember correctly, has got quite an extensive setup. I think he uses an 8-shifter for these cars, so he's fully authentic.
Very
The
cool.
gap is coming down. It's now just over 2 seconds.
Yes.
So Costas can see his target.
And I'm wondering if it's coming down to tire wear now. That early stop for Lars could hurt him in the end here.
Oh, a slight wiggle at the chicane. I think it's now down to 1 second, Rob.
0.9.
Now within draft range.
Yes. If there was DRS, he'd be in it. You can see the differences in the 2 cars there, the 2 chassis, the intakes in the wing between that Renault and the... What is Costas in?
I believe he's in the Brabham, so he's got the swoop back side pods. This mod is pretty bopped between the cars, so it's only going to be handling characteristics that are probably going to be different, but engine power is pretty similar. But he's nearly within draft range, so I don't know whether Lars has maybe left a little bit of fuel in hand to maybe turn up the engine a little these last few laps.
Well, to our enjoyment, we are going to have a race here to the end. Let's just hope these guys can both keep it real. This is such a tough section, this first sector. Those curbs are deadly. You can't take a little bit of them, but... Costas going through the gears, 200 kilometers. Hard on the brakes. Here comes the Lesmos Wall of Champions. Wow. Look at that. He just kind of kept his foot in it. I wonder if he's left foot braking in there and keeping on the gas at the same time.
Top speed of about 335 on the back straight for Kanzurus.
Let's see if we can get that cool back view from...
And a similar speed for Hangman on the back straight as well. So they're very similar in speed. It's just going to be who makes the least mistakes. And what tyre wear is going to be like. I would imagine that, I mean, it's only 5 lap old or 5 lap younger tyres that Kanzurus has behind, but maybe Hagman has left something in reserve. He's making up for that disaster he had last round where he stalled on the grid. It was an instant retirement. So fighting back with the best possible result, which is a win.
Yep, if he can hang on for 6 more laps, 7 laps. They survive Lesmos once again.
Also, listen, if you go on board with a couple of either Costas or Lars, their throttle application is very, very distinct. It seems like when they're coming down into the chicanes, you can hear them coming off the throttle and dipping.
Yeah, definitely. It was noticeable when they went through Lesmos too. That's with Costas. That's why I figure he's got to be left foot braking and still feathering, because he didn't really lift. He was still giving a little bit of gas in the second half of Lesmos, where I would have been lifting and taking the apex.
I think I was just watching this on board. He's only got 4th gear. He wasn't shifting up to 5th. I don't know whether the overlays are causing an error, but I didn't see him shift into 5th. And he's redlining all the way up the front straight.
And here he is now. I witnessed the same thing. Perhaps he changed his gearing, because he seems to be maintaining, but I have not seen him shift to 5th either. Wow.
Hagman does have 5th gear, but they are different gearing, but different power delivery, but they're ending up at the same speed. So I wonder whether Kanzurus went for a shorter gear ratio to get off these chicanes, but it's hurting him in the top speed.
And remember, Costas did set pole with that 119.9. So interesting to see as he comes down the main straight. He is now in 4th gear, unless of course our display's off, but yeah, he is not going into 5th gear at all. But he's maintaining the gap, 1.5.
I think he's got to be very careful. If that is redlining in 4th gear, it does seem to be bouncing off, at least coming down before the gear change. So he's got to be very, very careful. We could yet see another car on fire.
Or a brake explosion.
That is true. That is true.
These brakes are glowing hot as they make it through Lesmos yet another time with 5 laps to go after this.
But the other problem as well, even if Kanzurus gets in the draft of Hagman ahead, he hasn't got enough against the red line. If he's not got 5th gear, I'd imagine, I'm not sure if it's that advanced where you can actually lose gears, but if he can't shift up to 5th, then he's a bit stuck in the draft.
We'll have to ask him if this was by design or if he lost a gear.
He's able to close on the straight though, but once he gets towards that red line, as 5th place we're seeing on the track map, is that Freddie Hell? Just
Yes.
coming out turn 1, just had a little bit of a spin.
So he'll be the next traffic obstacle. As he's got it under a gap now, the gap is only 0.7 as Costas has caught the tail end of Lars. So this is going to have a last 4-lap race for the champion. Let's see what part Freddie Hill plays in this.
Now, what we do know is that Freddie Hill is Kanzurus' teammate, so I wonder whether there's some team orders coming to play. I hope not. It just depends where Hagman actually meets the lap. Oh, is he going to meet him on the straight or through one of the chicanes? They're probably going to get to them on the front and the back straight. I don't know if he's going to be able to pass before the Parabolica. Maybe on the front straight, but Freddie Hill's car does not look at all stable.
Well, we're about to find out as they make it through Parabolica, and this is going to determine right here. There is Freddie, and he looks like he's maintained that enough of a gap. However, that means they're going to catch him here close to Dead Man's Corner, known as Lesmos, which is indeed looks like the case.
Yeah, Hagman was able to put a purple sector together into Sector 2, which is exactly when he needs to out that gap.
Yes.
So he doesn't get caught on the straight.
Did jump it back up to over a second, but now it's back to under a second as they make it through the turns here. As Freddie Hill kindly got out of the way.
One of the scariest places to catch a lapped car, and to be lapped, I think, is the worst place you want a faster car coming up behind you.
About to complete the 48th lap.
So it looks like he's able to close up to about 0.8 at a certain part, but he just loses too much in the final sectors, and that's where you need to be strong in order to pass down one of these straights. But is it going to be a case of that someone's going to make a mistake? Hope not. Let's keep it clean to the end.
Right.
Just 2 laps to go.
Look at that late braking by Costas there. This is where he closes in. Perhaps he's got a little bit more downforce, but the gear thing has really got me puzzled. And I know in our factor too.
Seems to be. Yeah. Sorry, Rob.
Well, you can change that gear ratio, like you said. He could get just as much top speed with less gears if he just moves his gearing around.
Yeah, he seems to be strong in the middle part of the sector, but unfortunately Lars seemed to be able to get the Ascari and get that boost all the way down the straight. So that's one of the downsides. Again, it might be differing wing levels perhaps, but that gearing is quite troubling. We don't want another retirement.
Wow, it's almost up to 2 seconds. Yeah, Lars really put a good lap in there. A 122.4 versus a 123.1. Costas is going to have to dig deep here. We've got 1 to go after this. Yeah. I think they crossed the line for the white flag.
But this is the fastest the circuit has been so far. They are on the minimum amount of fuel. Their tyres are probably screaming, but I think Lars may have something in reserve. He's been able to pull out a couple of hits in that second sector.
Yeah, and he was the earlier pit stop, the first one to pit, in fact. The gap's now 2 seconds, so whatever Lars is doing, it's working. Or perhaps Costas has just expired his tires. Here we go, 1 to go. This is the start of lap 51. The white flag is out.
It looks like he's left it till last. He's pulling out 1.7 seconds on this last lap. Really, really pushing. Both of them are pushing. You can see Kanzer's wiggling in the background there, yes, putting everything into it.
This last effort.
And
they're running into traffic.
One chicane and 1 straight to go. I think Lars may have this. He's got 2 lap cars in front of him.
Yep, Merrick and Summers. But I don't think... Oh, Summers is pulling over. To let them both through. As they're in the parabolic for the last time, brake lights are glow. And the gap is up to 2 seconds. So here is your champion. The winner is Lars Hagman, taking first place. The brilliant run, Costas Kantasaurus in second. Pitchler half a lap behind is going to take third. Woohoo! And Kantasaurus, a well-exhausted effort, taking it out on the wall there. Nicely done. A great finish for Randy Merrick in fourth. Good job for the castaways in the corn-fed livery. And Freddie Hell, teammates, Randy Merrick and Freddie, finishing 4th and 5th. So good show by the MRG guys today. And another, Ben Sumners lives to finish in 6th place. Phil Brown in 7th. So, wow, what a race. Let me see if I can set this up. Session results. Here you have them. Lars Hagman, your winner, 51 laps. Second place is Wisconsin Kentosaurus, Philip Pitchler in 3rd. So this is going to stir up those finishing points, isn't it? They're pretty close to the order they were in, with Lars now missing last week. Then Freddie Hell in 5th. Where is 4th place in this? Excuse me. Oh, it's because Merrick hasn't crossed the line yet. There we go. There he is. So MRG finishing 4th and 5th. A good finish for those guys. Really nice job. Ben Sumners is 6th. Phil Brown in 7th. Jean Vandergeest, DNF, but still finishing 8th. Nicely done. And then we have in 9th, Nick Westy, the DNFs, starting with Phil Brown, and then Ed Jones in 10th. And we got another page here. Page will show us Bruno Pagliola, Michael Labelle, and Matej Descabelaire. They're finishing in 14th after that lap 1 incident. Bjorn Hagman, who would have been up there, that could have been and would have been all the shouldas and wouldas. We just will not know. But yet another race has been completed.
So I've got the provisional championship order. It has closed things up. It's still not over for just one more round in 2 weeks at Hockenheim 1991. So Lars Hagman still leads the championship with 159 points. Kanzuris close behind with 153. Fischler stays in 3rd with 148 points. Van der Geest not out of it in 4th with 133. And Bjorn Hagman, with that lowly finish down in 14th place, has dropped down the order and is now down to 5th place with 117. With the rest of the drivers now mathematically outside of being able to win the championship. So what's going to happen at Hockenheim in 2 weeks, Rob?
Yes, indeed. Don't forget to tune in for that. That's going to decide the championship. And wow, the old circuit at Hockenheim, another high-speed session with long straights with chicanes breaking it up. So, wow, who knows what's going to happen. Hopefully we'll have a few more finishers, but we did match last week's with 6 finishers. So, wow, the attrition rate has been high in this series. And like I say, 1 to go. And then Series 4 will be beginning in about 3 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time, something like that.
So Series 4 will be a completely different, excuse me, it will be a completely different, we are heading to sports cars. So we will be doing a multi-class back in the 70s type cars again. So if you like multi-class and you like sports cars on classic tracks, sign up at simracingonline.co.uk.
Yes, indeed. That should be an interesting session. The Riverside Raceway, very fond of my heart. I grew up some 15, 20 miles from Riverside Raceway as a kid in Riverside, California. I could hear every Saturday and Sunday, you could hear the cars racing over there. It was really cool. Really enjoyed that. So that's going to be it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. If you made it this far, there's got to be something wrong with you, but we appreciate you hanging out. And we will look forward to seeing you on the next one. For Woody and myself, and also our Liberty Footwear, thank you very much. And we will see you on the next one. So, adios.